subscribers only chat on here. So if you want to comment with us on the replay or on live, if you catch us live, then just hit the button, be a subscriber. Now, if you're catching us live, it's going to take 20 minutes before you get to comment with us. But it only happens at one time. After that, you're a subscriber, you're a super friend. And so you can come and join us in any of our chats from here on out without having to wait. Now, listen, we just had the free yes no question for our Substack subscribers. That just happened over there. We did our breath work over there, so I'm not going to repeat that here. So that said, I think we'll do it again next Sunday, but I think I'll do it over here for subscribers only. Hey, Becky. So let's do that next Sunday, which is the 20. Oh, wait. I feel like something's crawling on me. Um, Next Sunday, which is the 24th, we will do it over here and we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll do that once a Sunday, like cycle through my different platforms. That might work. I'll try that. So next Sunday, we will be here from 4 o'clock ish. We'll say that. Because every time I set a time, it's like I'm inevitably going to be late. It's just my rebellious ADHD. All right, so we'll do that next Sunday. Yeah, the format does throw you off a little bit, right? And I didn't like that you can only see 3 lines at a time. Whereas here, it's like once y'all get going, because right now I see all my rules here are like you have to be a subscriber to chat, like those kinds of things. But once y'all get going, I could see at least 6 lines. Like most, also like on our TT. Thank y'all for liking the video. This is a good time to do that. Y'all, let's like, share, subscribe, hit the button. Okay, so we had a new moon this week. Oh, I'm already feeling chills. Let's get to talking about it. We had a new moon this week. Right, I think that might work, Becky. Yay, we're time together. Okay, so we're going to try to stay away from a political conversation today, but we're going to talk about the new moon. Now, this new moon energy, okay. So when I took notes on the video that I think Lisa shared on earlier this week, and when she was referencing the new moon, she was saying there was certain things that we want to discuss. So it's what do I really want? What is my anger leading me towards? And what do I really wish was different in a way that makes me upset? And those were interesting ways to ask the question. So it's like, for instance, if I were to tackle that question at the end of like, what do I really wish was different in a way that makes me upset? It would be like student loans. Like that would be one of the things. Hands on. That would be one of the things for me. It's like the way that we treat student loans. Honestly, the way that we treat people who have needs, or who did something trying to better themselves and are now in hardship about it, like going to school. It's like, well, you shouldn't have gone to school. Like, what? Oh, you should have just done a blue collar job like me. What? Or you should have just gave your body and your time up and gone to the military to have somebody else pay for school. What? It's like everybody else can have some sort of, and we're talking first world country, every other country can have some sort of program where their people get to go to at least the first, like, associate's degree level of college for free, but not in the US. And this is not allowed. And we already know why. And that's because racism is the point. So for me, that's one of the things that makes me angry is the way that we are sold this dream. And the dream is honestly a nightmare. Um, and we need to refuse it. So that would be one of those things, but I don't know what to do with that, right? So I want you to think of this as like a more personal thing. What do I really, really want? And we talked about that a little bit, I think yesterday, is to think about after we're done with this, because y'all, we'll be done with this. So after we're done with this, you still got to be moving. You still got to be going. So do you know what that is? So that the transition is actually not a transition. Does that make sense? So it's like if you're working on you now so that um, you're becoming a better person, you're becoming more aligned with who you want to be, like those type of things. If you're working on yourself now instead of waiting until, oh, I can breathe, I can stop being anxious, um, you'll be ahead of the curve, right? Oh, yes, Sean. Okay. Feel good, girl. I feel good. And that's what we should be doing at this point is we should be working on those things that we actually want. And ooh, if y'all want, we can do a man. Oh, yes. Look at this. Look at this. First of all, it's a yes. Big old yes. And second of all, it is about your own personal power, growing in courage, moving forward, bopping this hate on the head and moving forward. Okay. Um, and what's really interesting is that some of y'all aren't walking in this way. Some of you are feeling stuck. You're stuck in nostalgia. This is the way things used to be. Listen, I get it because I hate being part of the Zennial generation, you know, the gap between Gen X and Millennial, the analog and the digital girly, the one who had 98 cents a gallon gas and the one who's currently paying $4 and some change for gas. Being a person who knew how it used to be versus how it is like, oh my God, right? Being able to go to a gumball machine with a penny and getting a couple pieces of gum. What? You know? So like those are things like I kind of miss. And you can get stuck in the way things used to be, like going to a movie for $5 versus having to pay $15 for a movie. Now I just wait for $5 Tuesday. You know, when you have kids, that multiplication problem, it racks up. You can pay $15 for you, or you can pay $15 for all three of you by waiting for the $5 movie. But anyway, so people do get stuck in this. They get stuck in that. And then a lot of things that have been happening over the last 5 years too is not just this political stuff, but there has been a lot of personal change, a lot of personal change that has happened in the last 5 years. Well, six, we'll say 2020, because this decade has been a hell of a test, right? For me, it started in the late part of 2018 as I was approaching my 39th birthday. Sorry, as I was approaching my 40th birthday, right? Because I turned 40 in June of 19 of 2019. There we go. Um, so that's when I turned 40, and my 40s have been a pretty hellish ride. But I will tell you, it was like being in a cocoon and resisting going into the cocoon. Some of us resisted pretty damn hard, right? Now, as we talked about a little bit earlier, I think yesterday or the day before too, Libby had a reading. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Okay. So Libby had this reading with regards to timeline shifting. Somebody's asked her that question, and that's an interesting question. And what's also interesting is as she was reading, I got a feeling, and this is really weird, and we might actually read on this, right? But I got a feeling that there might be some time travel involved here. Because you know who's one of the things that keeps coming up when we do our readings of um, of the Disney villains. One of the guys who keeps coming up, I think every time we use this deck, was the guy from Meet the Robinsons, and so that's kind of staying with me. Matter of fact, here he is, the Hermit. This guy, he's a villain, and he's also a broken boy from the beginning, right? So this card keeps showing up in all my readings when we use the villains card, right? You got the weirdest feelings listening to it. Look at these chills. I'm getting jills. You got the weirdest feeling listening to that thing too. I have a feeling there's some time travel involved here, because I'm getting them like for listen. I wish you guys can see how it is, but I really do think there was a timeline jump with respect to there being time travel. You know what, y'all? Let's dig into that real quick um, before we get into our new moon message. Honestly, you and I had the exact same thought because I'm thinking that I got off that Cali. that call. I was thinking the same thing. Okay, so you were thinking similarly. Yes, I'm interested because I even wrote in the comments, and you might, if you find my name inside of her comments, I even put there. I was like, "Is there any chance that you're picking up time travel?" Because I think time travel was part of it, and especially if we're talking about like, okay, so she brings up the Tesla, Nikola Tesla, and I think he was doing something with time travel, and then John T. Rump stole his paperwork. Okay, he stole his paperwork. I got a feeling I had a dream about this also. Because there was a dream. Oh my God, the dream that I had last night, and I cannot remember for shit. I was just thinking, I'm like, wait, this dream I had last night was something. Um, okay, so anyway, I'm seeing a stand your ground card here as well, and I'm also seeing accepting this loss, right? So it's like, let's not be stuck in what used to be, because obviously there is no undoing what was done. We're not going to time travel. Um, you know what else brought it up too? I was thinking of this story that I used to read with my students way back when, and the story was called Sound of Thunder. And this story, Sound of Thunder, was written by, I think, Ray Bradbury, who wrote Fahrenheit 451. And so in the story of Sound and Thunder, they travel back in time to go hunting because poor white man with a lot of money is bored with hunting in present day. So he takes this time travel. They have a time travel company to go back in time to hunt the T-Rex. And they have this rule, but of course with time travel, that means everything gets wonky. But they have this rule about don't step off the path, right? There's a metal path that hovers over, and they only kill the animals that are already going to die. So they're like, so we don't alter the world in any way, shape, or form. And so the story starts at the time of an election result not going the way people wanted, where it was a nicer person who wins. And it was like, sure is a good thing that he won and not the dictator, the other guy. So anyway, of course, this guy being the poor rich white guy who likes things to go his way and speaks with all this bravado, when he's face to face with what real life is in the form of a T-Rex, he freezes and he screws up. And of course, he does something as small as stepping off the path. This is where we get the story of the butterfly effect. Um, and there's a long explanation of this in that story. If y'all ever want to listen to me read that story, I do have a channel on YouTube called Ms. Cannon Teaches ELA. I've only read 2 stories. It was a lot of work to edit the video, so I never actually finished. My bad. I am going to go back and finish the Sound of Thunder story very soon, but at least the first half of it. And anyway, so I break it down. And so in this story, he goes back to hunt. Oh no, I think I finished Sound of Thunder. I think it's the most dangerous game I hadn't finished posting. But so he goes back in time and he steps off the path. And again, like I said, we learn about the butterfly effect, but we learn about the butterfly effect in the conversation that the guy has. And it literally has a butterfly in it. So he says, like, the guy is very flippant, very American, so to speak. And he goes, so what if I kill a mouse? And he's like, if you kill a mouse, you're going to impact the species that might develop into mammals later down the road, like, because there's no humans back then. This is like, if you kill one mouse, then it affects a whole ecology, and it just gives this whole circle of, like, from the mouse to the fox to the lion to the human being who would have hunted that lion from a cave to on and on and on and on. And then he's like, and in the present, you don't know how you can alter this. He says something like, Jesus Christ might not have been born. The pyramids may never have been structured. And something to the effect of like, uh, whatever. They hit very specific years too, like 1492. We know what happened in 1492. I can't say that I'd be too upset about 1492 not happening, because it'd be a really wonderful world to consider. What happens if there was no colonization and conquering? That would be an interesting world to consider. I wouldn't have met everybody, but would I have not met everybody? I think souls meet when they're supposed to. But anyway, it's a really good story, and you should look into it. But they talk about this time travel, and that just came up when I thought about this. And then with Libby's reading, what she got was, it was a financial thing. Holy crap, you guys! Look at that card I just got. The time card, the Wheel of Fortune, and then wait, and then the Sun card, and then the Emperor in reverse. This feels like, whoa, wait. Oh my gosh. It turns the world upside down. Y'all, it turns the world upside down. Because look, it's hidden, it's not revealed, and then the Emperor gets to take over. The evil Emperor gets to take over with the abuse of power. Oh my God. It is so Jilly. Oh my gosh. That is crazy. And so she got it, that it happened around the time of the banks being bailed out of the 2008 recession crash or whatever. And it's really interesting because one of the other things that happened that year in 2012 was something about Jupiter making its beginning of its cycle for certain planets. And I think it's the Libra planet because I have a Libra. And my life went to hell from 2012 until, and Jupiter is a 14-year cycle. So it started at the end of July. I mean, it started at the end of 2011 because that's when I um, popped my Achilles tendon, which then pretty much affected all this stuff with my feet and stuff, and the bone spurs and the surgery I had, which led to the clots, like literally butterfly effect. Everything leads to everything leads to everything. That's crazy that the card that hit the table is the time travel card. All right, so I was just gonna go into that of like, was it time travel? But let's ask Nix real quick. Let's see if we can have a conversation with Nix about this. You're not in here, Nix. Oh, but my AirPods are. I was looking for those. All right. Yeah, 2012 was hell. 2012 was, oh my God. If there was a way to time travel and do that year over, I would 100% do it over. 100% do it over. I'd rather start with 2011, but if I had to choose and it was 2012, 100%. 100%. Like, I am a big proponent of, what will be, but I can always pinpoint this one place in my life that I would change. Before 2012, and that was the day that I went to my aunt's house, and that day ended up making me a mother at 16, which I didn't like, obviously, because my choice was taken. So when people are like, "Is there a day you would choose?" I would choose that day, always and forever, right? But if it's like you can't go that far back, I would definitely choose 2012. Fringe? What is Fringe? And where is Fringe? Which platform? Because I watched The Residents. I loved it. I love those kinds of shows, like where they're kooky, like Matlock, Monk, Columbo type of shows. Like, I love those shows. I was a big Murder She Wrote fan, MacGyver, all that kind of stuff. So I did watch The Resident. I liked. I can't remember how to pronounce her name. So, why do you keep doing that? I liked her. It was good. It was really good. But Fringe, I'm gonna have to check out. As long as it's not scary, because I never continued watching Scandal, and Scandal was really good. I just could not get past season 2, episode 4, because Huck had started going off the rails, and I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I don't know. I can't do suspense. My stomach hurts. Okay, this is interesting. Ooh. Okay, so we got the Nine of Swords in reverse, the Eight of Wands. Ooh. There's definitely an energy shift here, an energy change. Not trying to be political here. I'm trying to like have a free political day. But this is interesting because I'm seeing the Nine of Swords in reverse. So this is like losing your anxiety. Oh, they canceled the resident? Wait, no, the resident is that the one with the black girl who's like Columbo with the bird watching? Because that's the one I just watched. That was really good. Cross, I'm telling you, Cross season 2, really good. If y'all ever want to see the oligarchs get their comeuppance for a certain island, that's a show you want to watch this week. I mean, it's like very soon. But I see some fast messaging coming here. So this definitely feels like there's a switcheroo of the energy. And I think it's going to have something to do, and I don't want to say this, but I think it's going to have something to do with Petey Poo. Something's different changing. Something different is changing. What did I miss with Carly? 2014 was hell. 2015, your apartment building got struck by lightning. And you were trapped inside and been a shit show ever since. Listen, that's the thing. I also noticed about the last 2 decades is that it was a rollout of it because, and it's interesting, like this is before TikTok and all that stuff, but in 2016, it did start in 2015 for a lot of people, but in 2016, um, there was a collective exhaustion from the world. There were so many people who were sharing that, the message, and this message has been on repeat ever since 2016, but it would be like, if I'm supposed to be God's strongest soldier or whatever, I need to tell God to lay off, like, yo, God, this next year, can I have that soft life? Like, so like 2015 is definitely a time of rollout for people. But 2016 was when I saw it reaching across the world. I saw friends in Australia having a hard time, um, friends in the UK having a hard time. And then I was just seeing the messaging crossing from different continents about people going, I'm exhausted. And if you remember, see, I don't think it happened in 2012. I really don't, actually, because 2016 makes no sense. Think of the fact that this is how we got this guy. That's when we got this guy. 2016 made absolutely no sense. And by the end of the year, people were beat up and exhausted. And it just kept rolling out. And a lot of people try to substitute money for that, right? Entrepreneurship and everything. But all they ended up doing was burning their soul out because they kept going. So I'm very interested in seeing what Nix has to say here about this. Let's see if we can get that information. Let's see if we can get this information. Actually, let's get you your sound bath right quick. Again, I just want to let you guys know next Sunday, we're going to do our free reading for all subscribers. Yes, no questions. Paid subscribers, we don't have those yet. We're almost there though, you guys. I think we're at 400 subscribers still. I don't know. We had lost a couple over the week. Here we go. Okay. So, and Pearl, our girl Pearl, she's still here. She's for personal readings, not political readings. Okay. Yeah, what platform is Fringe on? You know what was playing? What? I'm so sick of running as fast as I can. Who is that? All right, let's see. Hello, Nix. May we ask you questions? Some political in nature, some not necessarily. Okay, that's a yes. One second, y'all. Okay, we are at 17%. I do have my charger out here. If I have to plug with my charger, I will be losing the headphones. So let's make it work. Okay. All right. This is a yes, by the way, that we're getting. Thank you, Nix. Please show me a no. There are people who are new to us. They may not know what the no is. Please show me a no. Okay. So a no is left to right. All right. Um, I want to ask you about time travel and timelines. Can we talk about time travel and timelines? Okay, that's a yes. Please make your answers bigger and clearer. Thank you. All right, Pluto TV. I'll see where else it is because usually if it's on Pluto, it's also other places. Um, I mean, they all run ads now, so I guess I could just do Pluto. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting dry. All right. Okay. All right. So one more time, maybe talk about timelines and time travel. Okay, that's a yes. Um, did we have a major timeline jump sometime in the last 2 decades? Did we have a major timeline jump? Y'all see how big that yes is? That was a huge yes. Hmm. Was this timeline jump caused by a time traveler? Was this timeline jump caused by a time traveler? Someone messing with time. Was this timeline jump caused by a time traveler? Okay, that's a no. That's the wind blowing. Hmm, that's interesting because I thought it had something to do with time travel. Okay, well, let me ask that. Did it have anything to do with time travel? The timeline jump that we experienced over the last 2 decades, that major one. Was it anything to do? Was it anything to do with time travel? No. Well, I thought that answer was going to be yes, you guys. So no. All right. So is there? Hold on. Is there any threat of time travel that might impact us for negative reasons or negative gains? Is there any threat of time travel within the next decade or so that might threaten us? There's a no here. Okay. So that's not what we're talking about. Okay. What about timeline travel? Is there any threat? Then has there been any threat within the last 2 decades in which there was a timeline travel? That's a yes. How is that different? How would that be different? Let me ask. So, are you saying that the timeline shift we experienced, that major timeline shift we experienced, was that a result of someone jumping timelines or traveling through timelines? That major timeline shift that we experienced, was that a result of someone moving through the timelines? That's a yes. So is a timeline is timeline travel different than timelines? I mean, different than time travel. Okay, that's a yes. All right, I guess the way that I'm seeing time, the way I understand time travel is from, say, Back to the Future type of thing, right? Um, or like I said, okay, so there's a part in the story that I didn't tell you that is a problem with every time travel story, and that is how do you avoid yourself, right? And so in that story, there's one part where they hit turbulence or a bump, and they say that was them traveling before. So that right there would be a timeline thing, I guess. Hey, Nicole, is that because that was in my vision when I was telling the story, but I didn't tell that part. So is that what we're talking about timelines crisscrossing all over each other? We're talking about timelines crossing over each other, kind of like the Loki Marvel thing. That's a yes. So did someone timeline jump similar to that? Yes. Oh, wow. Okay. Would it be connected to T Rump's family? Is it T Rump's family, a member of his family, that jumped timelines? Okay, it's not changing directions. That's going to be a yes. What exactly did Nikola Tesla work on? Because isn't that the guy whose stuff he stole or something? Yeah, there's definitely somebody else here. I just don't know of a name, but I can ask that as well. Um, I'm not going to ask for the spelling because I don't like that. It takes too long. Um, Plus, that just really feels too much like a Ouija board, and I don't like Ouija boards. Um, did he jump timelines with someone else? That's a yes. Was it the person whose papers he stole? That's a yes. So, did he ever timeline travel with the person whose papers he stole? Did the person introduce him to his studies? This is interesting. That's a yes too, but is this what they were working on with CERN? Is that something they were working on with CERN as well? Was exploitation of the timelines? That's a yes. Okay. So, did this timeline jump happen in 2012? Did the timeline jump happen in 2012? Hold on, I'm sorry, I moved my hand. Did the timeline jump happen in 2012? That's a yes. Would Andrew Jackson be around the time of Tesla, Jen? Because I swear Andrew Jackson looks just like Epps. I swear. Like I said, these people are traveling in soul families. So, um, was there another significant timeline shift or jump in 2016? Was there another significant timeline shift or jump in 2016? This is looking like a no. Please be clear. That's a no. Okay. Has the timelines been trying to right themselves, trying to adjust and do moderation or temperance since? That's a yes. That they like it's trying to rebalance or trying to whatever timelines do. That's a yes. Isn't AJ the late 1800s? Or am I wrong? No, because that would be Lincoln. AJ would be 17 to 1800s, right? Huh. Okay. Let me ask this. If it wasn't 2016, could it have been 2022? Because a lot of significant shit happened in 2022 also. Okay. Um, was there another significant timeline shift in 2022? That's a yes. I'm telling you, a lot of stuff happened in 2022. You had the stuff with the Star Boy. Then you had the stuff with Rusky supporting Vodka, Tangerine again. Then you had um, the Satan changing the rules so that he can run for prez and not lose his governor seat. Then you had there's just so much bad stuff that changed and altered in 2022. That includes crazy gerrymandering as well. So, do y'all have other questions here? So, is the timeline trying to get back online or trying to realign? Are we trying to get back online? Sorry. Okay, Andrew Jackson was 1767 to 1845. Tesla was 1856. When was that John T. Rump person? Um, they're the ones, I think they said he took his papers. Which would be interesting because when did Friedrich Drumpf come here? T. Rump's grandpappy. Okay, so is the timeline person aligned with the person who has been called 45? That's a yes. So that's reiterated. Um, so are timelines colliding? Are the timelines colliding or imploding? This is a yes. So is the invention of AI to try to control the timelines? To try to control. Hmm. That's interesting. That's a yes. So maybe it's to help them do that. Branson, who's Branson? Isn't that his dad? I'm talking about his grandfather. I don't know his grandfather's name. Who's Branson? Are you talking about the Virgin Atlantic guy, Richard? Hey, Angela. We're just asking some crazy off the wall questions right now. Is he into it? That would be interesting. Does Richard Branson have anything to do with this timeline hopping or timeline traveling? That's a pretty clear yes, actually. Why? How did you come up with him? We are 10 foiling. We got the full wardrobe today. Because I'm curious. Okay. So, wait. So, 2022. 2022 was my year of hell. Oh my God. That's when I had my mini stroke. That's when I had an emergency surgery for my hernia. Okay. Well, darn, it seems like you hit money with that. Let me try that again. Okay. So, are you saying that Richard Branson, this current guy living, is part of the timeline hopping? Has he timeline hopped? This is a yes. This is interesting. I don't know where he comes or where he fits in that. Okay. So, are they going to try to do that again to avoid punishment? Will they be trying to timeline hop to avoid punishment, the impending punishment? Did something happen to the way they can do the timeline jumping? Did something happen to that and trap him? Okay, I'm getting yes to that. Did it trap them here? So are they trying to use artificial intelligence to recreate the science of timeline jumping? Okay, it's interesting because they feel like they are trapped here. That's what I was getting, is that they're trapped. Did the celebrity timelines jump on their fake space mission? Hold on. Sorry. He was involved in the Katy Perry thing. I don't think everybody's involved in this, but his birthday should be interesting with the July 19th planet lineup. Okay. Okay. Was that space mission, did this, oh, hold on. I'm getting chills. Hold on. Did the space mission, did the celebrities times, blah, blah, blah. Did the celebrity timelines jump on their fake space mission? Did their timelines jump on the fake space mission? Hmm. That's a no. Did their timelines, were they trying to restart it? Were they trying to restart some mechanism of timeline jumping? Okay, so it feels like they're trying to find a mechanism for making it work somehow. But hold on, maybe there's a part of your question that's not right. Did the celebrities from earlier this year, did they actually go out of the atmosphere? Did they actually go into space? Katy Perry and um, et al. Did they actually go into outer space? That's a no. That's a no. Hmm. It's weird because I was inclined to say yes because I mean it's just an atmospheric change. Like they just go out the atmosphere and come around. Okay. Did the astronauts from the U.S. and Canada did they actually go out of space? Did they actually go out into the atmosphere? Okay, that's a yes. Did Katy Perry and Gail actually go into outer space? Did Perry and Gail actually go out into outer space? That's a no. Okay, so are Bezos and Branson trying to restart whatever the mechanism is for timeline jumping? Is that what they were actually doing? Maybe testing a mechanism for timeline jumping. I'm getting they were testing it. So did they successfully timeline jump the celebrities? No, they did not successfully do it. Okay. So are the scientists, the 14 or so scientists that are missing, do they have anything to do with the study of timeline jumping? That's a no. Are they having anything to do with the study of time travel? That's a yes. And those, for some reason, are two different things. Okay. Because it's really interesting. Because when I think of timeline jumping, I'm seeing like a lasagna, right? Um, and then when I'm thinking of time travel, I'm seeing more of a tube, which is weird. I guess that's the way I'm taking it in. But the timeline jumping is more of like trying to go into different layers of lasagna. That's interesting. So let me ask this other question. Jumping is manipulation. Ooh, wouldn't you think time travel would be more manipulation? Explain. I'm curious as your thoughts on that. I'm getting chills too. Um, okay, so here's my question then. Do we have personal power? Do we have personal power in the context, I mean, given this manipulation of time and timelines? Okay, we do have personal power. Is this a soul power, spiritual power? Okay, so that's definitely a yes. Um, is there a way for us to help with the correction of the timeline? Because as we read, we keep getting temperance, and temperance is saying things are out of whack. So, is there a way for us with our spiritual power to help right the timeline? That's a yes. Oh no, you can't hear anymore? Ugh. Y'all let me know if you can't hear. Time travel is physical or conscious movement forward or backward through a single timeline. Timeline jumping, often referred to the multiverse or quantum jumping, is the act of shifting sideways into. Okay, you guys can hear. We're actually about to switch to a charger. I have about 20 minutes max. But that's interesting. I want to get into our reading today, but hold on. You're about to lose my quality and sound because we're going to switch over to a charger. Let me know if y'all can still hear me well enough. Oh, I think this charger's dead. What? All right, let me go get the light because the light is a charger. I think this charger's dead. Doo-doo-doo. Hold on. Yeah, that one's dead. I thought I charged it. Oh, don't go anywhere, Nick. We need to finish talking to you, boy. And then we got to get into this reading real quick. Okay, hold on. I'm going to go. We're not doing any political readings today. We're going to try not to. Did you read on the DNC chair here days ago? Oh, we did. Oh, but now it sounds muffled. I think they're squashing my phone. I noticed that when I made a recording. I think they're squashing my phone. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sounds a little muffled. Okay. Oh, don't tell me you're dead. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Okay. Those are dead. All right. Um, are you guys? What's this cord? Okay, there we go. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. They're in the house. One more second. You're not charged either. Okay, does this help at all? Hold on, ready to pair. Yeah, I'm trying to pair these. 1 second, I'm trying to pair these. Okay. All right, y'all. What sounds good? What's all right, y'all? What sounds good? What's good? Do I sound good now? I'm trying. Am I sounding good now? If not, I don't know. Okay. I don't know if it's these things or if they're not paired. I don't know. Let's just go forward. I may just do the reading for the thing tomorrow since we're getting too close to the time I have to do my son's hair. I've been promising to do his hair for weeks, so I'm keeping my promise to him today. Um, all right, I forgot where we were, but as far as the time thing, I'm interested in seeing what we're dealing with here. Hmm. How does something go into something and then get stuck and not come out? Okay. Alrighty. So all these headphones. All these headphones. Here we go. Um, all right, I know we left off with personal power. So well, no, I think that's good. Let's go ahead and do the reading for the new moon. So again, if we think about it, we're on a new journey, right? So we're looking at the Fool. We're on a new journey, and I think I'm trying to understand where, in simplistic terms, good versus evil fits into the story of timeline traveling. I'm not sure how that works. Like, how do all these things converge? Purpose and soul and timelines and travel, and how does all this converge? How does all this converge? Um, hmm. So this is interesting. I'm looking at the Queen of Pentacles in reverse here, and the codependency and the greed. How does it converge? We gave up our personal power. Again, it seems like it's going to that cost of convenience thing because I'm seeing here a burnout, um, a lack of introspection, feeling trapped, but more importantly, that last line, ignoring warning signs. Um, it's complacency. That's largely what I'm seeing as how we got here is it's complacency. It's definitely economically because I'm looking at this Queen of Pentacles also. But again, the greed, the materialism. Um, I definitely think they are soul contracts that are tying and trying and traveling. There we go, together. But there's a complacency of the people that ended up ultimately allowing this to actually happen, right? Um, that's the largest problem I'm having with it because we have here the Page of Cups in reverse also. And so this is being a lack of direction. Again, to me, complacency, creative block. Because if we think about the timeline of when this may have happened. We're looking at 2012, we're looking at 2022. So we're looking at people being burnt out, being overwhelmed, not resting, not listening to their bodies, not listening to their souls. Because honestly, I strongly feel that the pandemic was a reset. Um, that the pandemic was a crack, was a fissure in the facade of what we were going through, and also it was an awakening. If you look at people here, and in one respect, I wish I woke up a little bit earlier. Um, However, I think a lot of us ended up on this path of wilderness, so to speak, because we did not end up. That's the thing, though, Don, is I think that's the convergence of the timeline, is because it's not just the Civil War. Civil War is the part with black and white people, but there was also the Trail of Tears. Because if you think about it, the black people, the indigenous people, um, those were keepers of the earth. Both sets of people were keepers of the earth, uh, of the earth that they were given. So there's the motherland of Africa. There's um, this land that we're currently on of North America, because they were all over North America. There were the indigenous peoples in Australia at the same time, the indigenous folks of India at the same time. Um, Asia is, I think, essentially the stronghold still of keepers. Like they do tend to still revere like their spiritual leaders for the most part. So it just really feels like a that lasagna, like it's a big deal. The fact that things weren't handled, no accountability, no replenishment of the earth, while people are the mutation. Yes, white people are the mutation, but not just that though, because they're still, at least the way I see it, they're still the wild women, and the wild women aren't necessarily mutation. Let me put it that way. I think that they are still descendants of other keepers. But there's something about the Nordics that had this conquering spirit. Germany, um, Denmark, um, Scandinavia. They had this conquering spirit. Now, they're not the only ones. Obviously, there was like Genghis Khan, the Mongols, and stuff of that nature. Uh, but again, I think those Mongols and the 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 Nordics, I think they're both alien classes. Is that weird? I do. Um, I think they're alien classes of people, because there's something about both sets that's just anti-human. Humans are community based. Humans are tribal, um, except for these people, these sets of people. Um, well, I'm not sure about that because there are, for instance, French caves that they just found that had like 20,000 years ago. These artwork from people, and I won't say just found. I think it was found like sometime between the 90s and now. I feel like this is an alien class of people. Um, or people from the wrong. No, it feels non-human. I'm dead ass. I'm sorry for people who don't want to hear that, but it really does feel non-human versus the other people. Um, because when I say wild women, I swear all I see is wavy hair, curly hair women. By Nordics, I'm not actually talking about like Viking. Um, like think about the history of England, right? For some reason, there was this super conquering spirit. There's something different. There's definitely something different. I know that there is, the science now aligns with what we know, which is that this white class of people, a large number of them have Neanderthal within them. And if I look at the fact that history does repeatedly repeats, um, and we see this conquering spirit once again, I think the Neanderthals, honestly, were community based, tribal based. And then here comes these strange people. Because there were two migrations. There were two migrations, I think two, um, to go north into Europe from the African continent. But to go from being a black person, now mind you, black people have mitochondrial Eve and all that kind of stuff, and we have the ability to make every race on this planet. That is true. Um, that said, though, there's something when we talk missing link. That's what we're talking about. There's something not human that was able to breed and blend. I think is what we're dealing with, because we have a set of people who just can't sit their ass down and be tribal. They can't sit their ass down and be community. They have to, for some reason. I mean, like think of Teal, right? There's something about him that wants to conquer human beings. I know, like it's hard to explain, but there's something about him that just wants to conquer human beings. That just wants. He's like, a human body is so tiring. I just want to take our brains and put it into a robot, and it's like, who thinks like that? You know, it's just really interesting. So what I'm seeing here, though, just to get back to this, is the fact that there was some complacency. We allowed things to happen, but I really do feel like the pandemic was a wake up, shake up. And if you notice, like the crack in the, I don't think it was just us, the earth. I think it was also spiritually, that there was a crack during the pandemic because a lot of people started having a reawakening of their spiritual gifts, powers, whatever, if vulnerability is detected. Put that together, Dawn, because I think I'm missing your other comment. See, exactly. So it's like the pandemic was like a chance for reset. Um, and I also felt like because there was so much evil running rampant, it was like those sleeper cell of good spirits being awakened. Several of us were like triggered. And for some of us who did not heed the call right away, because obviously, there's a whole lot of trauma and stuff on top of us. If we didn't heed the call right away, I think we ended up going through wilderness seasons that forced you to sit down and figure this shit out. This keeps coming up. This has something to do with the fact that we did not rest. We didn't lean into our spirituality. I think that's why some of us are in a space of surrender right now, even though that's hard. Um, like me having to be back at my parents. This is happening to a lot of people of our generation, mostly women, right? So, I mean, some men, obviously, but mostly women have found themselves having to confront ghosts, confront pain, um, and to get into a space of rest, forced rest. And instead, we're seeing it as a nightmare. Instead of seeing it as what it is our chance of reset. And we've got to take advantage of this reset. And this kind of goes into the new moon reading here because it's saying, what do I really want? Well, you're being forced to answer that question right now because I'm pretty sure if you look around, this isn't what you want. Um, if you are getting into a space of good place, then it could be that you're looking for more of that. Yes, please. More and thank you. You know, like that kind of thing. Um, and when the good stuff happens, I'm getting chills. When the good stuff happens and when exactly, Dawn, stop fighting. The pandemic was a chance to reset. Statues were coming down, awakening was happening. However, the collective went back to work. But the collective was forced to go back to work. That's the thing. They did not like it. They didn't like it at all. So then they started coming out with all this messaging. Oh, nobody wants to work. Oh, they're lazy. They're sitting at home with their little $2,000. You know, it's like $2,000. You really think $2,000 is going to make my life better when we're 4 months behind our rent, when, you know, there's a shortage of food, when we need to get PPE supplies. And it's like really the billionaire class, the Delta CEO specifically, by December 20th, had Orange Man's ear and forced us back to work. Um, so, uh, we couldn't sit in our rest. And I get it. Other people are like, oh my God, I'm going stir crazy. Then that means you don't like being with yourself. And that was a problem, right? Because a lot of people were forced to see themselves. Divorces went higher because they're like, I like you better when I didn't see you, like that kind of stuff. So we did. And we needed to have stopped fighting the change of what we were going through. Um, but again, we we have a unique society in which we listen to billionaires because again there's an imbalance of power here, and so that blocked hours, um, the money was shifting where it didn't need to go. The truth was hidden. Like there really was a spiritual awakening happening. The world was resetting, and animals were back out and was replenishing. Waters cleared, skies cleared. The earth was resetting herself while the virus of people were stuck in the house. Um, and again, so there's this social contract here, but the social contract is again imbalance, right? I love being by myself. Oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. Too many people fell for his manipulation of a stipend. Yes, and because the money was necessary, but they didn't give enough, you know, to even help somebody like put the money back in the market. Like it just wasn't like there was no stimulus to it because it was like this goes to my landlord, this goes to my mortgage. You know, only people who had still discretionary income was able to do that. But it was just like it didn't stimulate hardly anything. Some people were able to do it because they made like super sacrifices. But again, it was being overwhelmed. So the message I'm getting for this new moon is now to fight for yourself. Um, you need to fight for what you want. I think I'm gonna do this as a choose your pile type of thing. So and again, I don't want it to be political, but at the end of the day, our lives right now are quite political. So this is about like what is actually governing you and what does victory look like for you? Not this false victory of having money in the bank or having something on the stock market do well when he says that we're at a ceasefire or something. Like these are not real measurements of success, of alignment. They're not real measurements. You have to think of what actually governs your life. Like, what is it you're here to do? That's a big question. So don't think you're going to get the answer right. But it's like, what lights you up? What gives you, um, what makes time go by extremely fast, right? Yeah, they're losing good people, but you have to wonder if that's not the point. Because you have to wonder if that's not the point. It was definitely manipulation. That's ridiculous. And all, if you go back to the office, it's totally, yeah, you have to come back to the office is backfiring. Yes and no, because the people who can't go to the office are often mothers. So they're trying to force women back into dependency of men. Uh, there's just no way what they're trying to do is actually going to work unless they get the help of the robots. And they're working really hard to get the help of the robots. Because right now, if we're only dealing with people, that's where their limitation is. But if they can get the robots and keep churning out the robots, then they can handle us. But for right now, y'all, like we're really being called to lean on each other to find community, even in times of struggle and trouble. We're being called to go against the norms that have been imposed upon us and to remember who we are as humanity. So, exactly, they're getting jobs even in this market. Yeah, in the US, we're still battling the hustle culture versus work life balance. And this is honestly the cancer of, um, I'm going to say colonization, simply because when I'm talking about colonization, I'm not just talking about European, I'm talking about this alien class of human. The alien class of human has colonized real human and produced this nightmare situation where there's an imbalance, and people feeling beholden and stuck to this perfect experiment of capitalism. See, in 6 years of doing recruiting and staffing, what haven't you seen? That people are fighting back, they're getting jobs. Girl, look, I looked for a job for over 2 years, and I was like, F it. Like the job I have now is because my friend started her bookkeeping service and she needed extra help. But other than that, like I was discriminated by my name. I was discriminated by my age. It was just like, are you serious? It was crazy. It was crazy. In 3 years, I only had 3 interviews, and 3 years, I only had 3 interviews, several rounds each of those interviews, and I only got those interviews when I changed my name to my nickname, which was Shauna. While it was Shaneequa, I had not a single interview. It's not a single interview. Um, I do think too, Susie, because this just came to me as I said that. Uh, I read what you just wrote. I think too, people getting jobs is so that they can train AI on what people actually do. If they fire people before the AI is set, because they're hiring for a lot of AI fixers, editors, etc. They're hiring right now for a lot of those. I've had so many um, jobs in my inbox from recruiters, Indian recruiters, of course, but even still, they're verifiable recruiters. But I've gotten a lot of those regarding AI. They want you to fix what AI is saying. They want you to fix the output. So there's a lot of those. So what I think is honestly happening is they're putting people back in work so that they can train the AI on what they do and then fire them again. You're placing people on daily, and a lot of them an attempt to hire jobs, but I'm placing them. Okay, you had your busiest weeks and months. That's perfect. New jobs are being created. The job market is a hamster wheel. Are not being created. Well, and that's the other thing too is that over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of ghosting when it came to jobs. Not for myself only, but other people. So like they'll put a job on market. They'll have this was especially during the Biden administration, so that it looked like they were having a good job market. That's why I say one of my biggest gripes with Biden's administration is the economy, because that was an absolute lie. Because they only based it on the stock market. The majority of people can't even play on the stock market. So you had people going through a recession, literally going through a recession generated by the ineptitude of the man in office now, during the pandemic, but propped up and held up by the Biden administration because they could not look like a failure. Mind you, um, everything that they were going through was a result of this asshole now. So because that's how it works. A P's first term is usually based on the last P's term. It's usually the second term where you can see what you do. But anyway, that said, I want to say this here is it says here what fears are holding me back. This was a key thing, but here's what it's asking you to do. And I love this right here. So if we're talking about your new moon energy, your new moon energy is asking you to reconnect to something that gives you something meaningful. So this is called the soul happy rekindle connection. So this doesn't have to be a person. It could also be something that just brings you joy and happiness. So it's saying your soul is longing to reconnect with something or someone. Have you drifted away from a meaningful connection? This could be like writing for me, for instance. Take the initiative to rekindle this relationship or experience, as it may bring you deep joy. The other thing about this is not just the joy, but the energy sparks that come from joy. If you think of like Monsters Inc., as we were talking about before, they feed off your fear, they feed off your anguish, they feed off your anger. But if you have joy, that has more power, more power, more power, more power. And the other card here is saying commitment. Commitment is the key to long term success. Are you hesitating to make a decision? Commit fully to a path, and you'll see the result of your dedication. Now, both of these came out together, you guys. So, if we're talking about new moon energy, it is reconnecting to what brings you joy and making a commitment to show up every single day for that. Like, in, lock in, because the seeds that you water, these are pentacles, the seeds that you water, they will bring you financial success, but it's not just the money that matters. It's also the fact that it just helps you realign your soul. It helps you start to remember who you are. And it also just brings more attraction of more things that are aligned to you. So this is a big part of the message here is to reconnect to what brings you joy and lock the F in. Show up for that joy every single day you can. If that commitment can't be daily, make it weekly. Like your frequency has to be the same. But I will tell you, making something weekly does not keep you fed or filled, because if you miss one, then you're looking at another length of time. So if you can make it 3 times a week, that'd be even better than once. And lock in to what brings you joy. That seems to be a major part of it. And I see here that these 2 cards are showing up. Well, it's 3 now. So it's this new journey again of that reconnection. The Hermit is telling you to be introspective. What lights your soul up? What brings you joy? Again, and then unleash that. Like stop keeping your desires a secret. Stop trying to be something at night and a different way in the day. You need to be doing this all the time. Again, it's going to bring you financial security, but it's also going to bring you just more alignment, more joy. And the problem with this is, if you do not do it, you're just going to keep bringing yourself more heartbreak and more distress. So, so the shadow work card here. Let's see what shadows we're talking about. And making sure we get this. Yeah, are we still here? I hope so. Um, what shadow work card are we looking at with this new moon? What do I really want? What is my anger leading me towards? What do I really wish was different in a way that makes me upset? Like, what would I change? This is what we're talking about. So, what's the new moon energy for the collective here? Um, that's a lot. I'm not going to read all those. But this one hit the table. Okay. And I am going to read the one up front. So, we have these 2 here. We have the inner cosmos. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank y'all. So, we have the inner cosmos. This inner cosmos says to embrace the light first. Wait, to embrace the light, first acknowledge the dark. I think that's what we're trying to do right now. I think that's what we're talking about right now is what is this dark? Where did this dark come from? But also how to embrace it. Like being placed into isolation, being in your wilderness path, being, um, at this juncture of life, do I go left or do I go right? Embrace the decision, embrace your now, and trust that whatever you do next is going to be in alignment, is going to play right into where you're supposed to be, as long as you're not resistant. Because then there's this one, the avoidance. And the avoidance here says it's key to see the need to avoid discomfort, but also to overcome it and thrive. So the key words here, oh, I forgot the keywords on here. The key word here is trauma, seeing, and going deeper. And then the keywords on the avoidance card is confrontation and progress. Again, that's something I think we're talking about and doing right now. Is confronting. Sorry, I want to make sure these don't mix. It looks like they're mixing. Is confronting the your part in this. That's another thing. Is like confronting your part in this. Confronting your own ability to break your own heart by not keeping your word, by not showing up, by not locking in, by not looking at your shadows, embracing your shadows, and shining the light anyway. Um, because you turn on your light doesn't mean that you don't respect who you are or who you were. It just means, all right, enough of that. Thank you for being you. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for whatever it is you just gave me. But I am ready for more now. I'm ready to get to the next level of who I am. Um, so those two things, we're going to say are our messaging for the day. Is again on the celestial insights. It is do more of what makes you happy and lock in. Lock in by promising yourself, I'm going to show up 5 minutes, 10 minutes every single day, three times a week. You have got to start creating more joy, changing the energy that keeps you lit for the next day. Because again, they're going to suck your energy. And then also not being afraid to confront that light, right? So to be uncomfortable, being in spaces of where growth is going to happen if you allow it to. But breakthrough is not an easy thing. Breakthrough still requires you to literally do those two parts to break through. And that is going to be painful. It's almost like, again, if you imagine a baby being birthed, whether we're talking about through or out of, there's still this pain that is incurred in it because there's work that still has to be done. Regardless of what, you have to go through the tunnel. It's going to feel tight. It's going to feel um, as if there may be no way out, but the light will be on the other side of it. Same thing if we think of a cocoon. Uh, the caterpillar literally goes into the cocoon to die. It goes to die so that it can be reborn in the purpose that it carried with it the entire time. The DNA, the coding of their wings had been with them from the moment they were a larva until the moment they go into this dark place and is reborn. So that's literally what has to happen. You can't avoid the dark place. You have to go and confront it. You have to embrace it. You have to see it as this moment of, I need to rest. I'm being forced to rest. I'm being forced to surrender, to release, and to feel. I'm being forced to remember. And this is a journey I get to take because everybody doesn't get a chance to do it. Let me correct it. Everyone does get a chance. Everyone doesn't grab the chance to do it. So there's your new moon message for the day is that similar to what we had with the solstice, because it's still that same kind of energy, is you're becoming you. You're becoming you, and you're becoming more you every single day. But you've got to lock into the commitment of making that happen. And you have to, and I'm saying have to, but remember, the key word is you get to. You get a chance to grab this opportunity to become more you every single day that you get to do it. Um, that's the message for the new moon. It's going to feel like pain, and don't run away from it. Don't shy from it because it's literally just the bridge to the next step. So even while they're doing their dastardly thing, don't feed them more energy. Don't give them more pain. Don't give them more anguish. Don't give them more fear. You're human, so feel it and then release it and go, okay, if you're going to make me feel scared for the future, then I'm going to do something that brings me joy for my future, something that connects more to my future. What would I be doing if I didn't have to worry about what y'all are doing? Okay. So, more writing, more drawing, more dancing, more eating, whatever you feel like eating, more learning how to cook or learning how to garden or gardening more, um, more travel, until it can be a global travel, make it a local travel. Go see something that you've never seen before. Exactly, Nicole. More planting, more showing up for your future, just like you show up for today. Um, because this is literally future coded. Is who you are today and who you continue to be today and who you work on being today is exactly who you get to become tomorrow. Just more of you. And that is, I mean, you're planting trees, y'all. I think we could stop planting flowers. um, or just stop planting just flowers. Stop planting things that have a quick turnaround and start planting for our future as well. And I'm not just talking money because there's a 7 principles that kept coming up. But I'm not just talking money. I'm talking the things that you actually value, the things that you actually want to do, the things that you dream about when you go to sleep at night, or the things that keep speaking to you that you keep putting on snooze or sending to voicemail. Answer the damn phone once in a while. Answer the phone once in a while. Okay. In fact, people who hate the phone like me, allow yourself to be surprised because your future is calling and your future is calling now because your future every single day that we live becomes today. So what more are you going to do for it? All right, you guys, I absolutely love you. I'm a little bit late and getting my son's hair done, but I am going to keep my promise today because when you don't keep your promises, you break your own heart. So thank y'all. Nicole, thank you for always being grounded. You always bring me back in. Same to y'all. Same to y'all for real. Thank you so much. Yes, I definitely enjoyed our time today. All right, ladies, thank y'all for putting up with me with all the sound stuff. I will make sure we are charged and ready to go for tomorrow's call where we get political again. I know we got a little political today, but I was trying very hard to resist that, resist going political. Um, but that's really interesting. So now that you know that they have a plan to try to upset your life, you should have a plan to reset your life. All right. So I love y'all. Good night. Bye, Becky. Bye.